everyone, and welcome to the League of Women Voters Forum for the Buchanan City Commission candidates. I want to thank the paper and the League of Women Voters for putting this together so that the community can learn about the candidates running for the City Commission. We also thank everyone out there watching. In TV land, informed voters are smart voters, and that's what the goal of this evening is. It's a nonpartisan event, so it's all just information. And we're pleased, the Buchanan Area Senior Center is pleased to host the event tonight. It might be hard to recognize the space because we've dressed it up a little bit for tonight, but we are pleased to host it and share the information. We are what's known as a community focal point on aging. So we're basically like a daytime community center for seniors. We have programs and services that meet the seniors' needs and interests. And although the pandemic has kind of thrown a wrench into the works, we are still doing our best to serve our seniors. We're holding our exercise classes outside. We've had no contact commodities distribution and a variety of other programs, including the USDA's weekly produce box, which just ended. We've been hosting those services while we are in a limited version of open. So I thank you for coming. I want you to note that we are following the executive orders put out by the state to keep people safe from COVID. So people are wearing masks, but when they're speaking, they will remove them so that you can hear them. And the citizens of Buchanan know that good government doesn't just happen, that we have a responsibility as citizens to learn about our candidates for the offices, and that the candidates in return have a responsibility to the community to think about the entire community while they're considering the issues before them as city commissioners. The League of Women Voters is proud to support the, kind of be the support group for this process and serve as a nonpartisan organization that has always worked to kind of promote good government and encourage citizens to become involved in the voting process. Their members are passionate activists, and they work like nonstop to make that happen in all of the 50 states, and there's more than 700 local chapters. It also engages in promoting legislative priorities at the state level. So there's a lot that they do. Go to their website, lwvbcc.org, to learn more. But now I would like to move on to what this evening is all about, which is learning about the candidates running for the City Commission of Buchanan. And I'm introducing John Ripley, who will be our moderator for the evening, and he'll lead the evening's proceedings. Thank you. Oh, also if you are interested in the League of Women Voters Guide, we have them here. They have them at the libraries in Niles and Buchanan, so you can find them there. It's got a wealth of information. Thank you. John Ripley.
Thank you, Adam, and good evening. I am John Ripley, and I am the Communications Coordinator for the League of Women Voters of Berrien and Cass counties. I will serve as tonight's moderator. Special thanks go to Adam and the Buchanan Area Senior Center for hosting this event and allowing the use of their beautiful facilities. We also want to thank Randy Henriksen of DPM Events and his associates. They arranged for tonight's event to be broadcast on social media so that you may watch and learn about these candidates. This event will remain on YouTube after tonight, so feel free to recommend it to your friends and family and other Buchanan voters. Helping voters to make informed decisions is an important foundation of the League of Women Voters. This evening's forum features 5 candidates competing for the job of Buchanan City Commissioner. There are just 2 commissioner positions available, and we hope you will get to know these candidates better as the evening goes along. Buchanan City Commission is made up of 5 members who serve a 4-year term. Your mayor and mayor pro tem are selected at the first meeting of the commissioners in November following the election. The 5 candidates we will hear from tonight are Monroe Lemay, Larry Money, Patrick Swem, Daniel Vigansky, and Jeccika Yoder. And so we will begin the program this evening with a 2-minute presentation from each candidate. Once their introductory remarks are concluded, I will ask the candidates a series of questions designed to let us all know more about these folks. The questions are based on topics submitted to your local newspaper by Buchanan community members. The candidates will have a set amount of time, 1 minute, to answer each question. Let me stress that our 5 candidates have had no advance knowledge of any of tonight's questions. At the conclusion of the evening, each candidate will have the chance to provide a concluding statement, lasting up to 2 minutes. Our timer is league member and past league president Marilyn Clowder. She will hold up a paddle to warn our panelists when time is running out, and another paddle when they must stop. As Adam said, this is a nonpartisan election. All candidates are running without party affiliation. However, for our purposes tonight, we will operate using the highly scientific and nonpartisan principle of alphabetical order and variations thereof. So for the opening statements, we will begin with Ms. Lemay, then Mr. Money, Mr. Swem, Mr. Vigansky, and Ms. Yoder. Monroe Lemay, will you please start by giving your opening remarks?
Thank you, everyone, for having us here. I've decided for tonight to basically give us the City of Buchanan mission statement, because all 5 of us, if we do get elected, this will be what it is that we are going for. This is what we're going to be representing our citizens with. So we the elected officials of the City of Buchanan believe in the dignity and worth of all people, and in the right of every citizen to express their views and their responsibilities of city government to respond to those views. As government representatives, we will demonstrate that life is better here by holding high ethical standards, actively listening to community concerns, creative problem solving, and by creative problem solving, and by being good stewards of the human, natural, and financial resources of the city. We will provide leadership and focusing community resources to address community needs and opportunities. We will present the opportunities to continually improve services by cultivating partnerships and that promote and sustain collaboration. We will afford a stable environment for commerce and recreation for city residents and businesses. We will celebrate and strengthen the diversity of all of our community, ensure the dignity of all citizens, and equitability deliver services. Provide for our safekeeping of persons and possessions. And basically, the one that I really want to talk about is we will enhance citizen quality of life using the city cultural, recreational, and occupation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LeMay. Larry Money, your opening remarks, please.
Yes, my name is Larry Money. I want to thank everybody, John in particular, Adam, for allowing us to be here today. I've been a member of this community for almost 72 years, and I have done many things working with the community, and specifically with the American Legion in my time. And one of the mottos of our American Legion Creed is community to service state and nation. And I feel that I've accomplished all of those goals, and I decided to pursue the position of city commission. For the simple reason is to be able to enhance within the community some of the goals and ideals that I have, and also to represent the citizens of this community in any way, shape, or form that I may. Once again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here today, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Money. Now, Patrick Swem,
Yes.
you're next. All right.
Good evening, neighbors. Thank you again, everybody, for the opportunity to be here tonight. The reason I'm running for City Commission is to make a difference on this community. My family has been a lifetime, or my family has spent 5 generations here, ending with my 3 children at home right now. Hi, girls, and Theo. I feel there's a social responsibility as a leader within this community to step up and participate in what's going on and how money and funding and programs are adjusted within this community. And as somebody who expects to be here for a lifetime continued, much like my grandfather and those before him, I want to be a reason that there's positive change in this community. And we have a lot of good things going for us, and I want to continue to work with the group that we've put in position today to continue to make that change and improve the quality of life for my children and my neighbors' children. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I look forward to being a steward of this community.
Thank you, Mr. Swinton. Next is Daniel Vigansky.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Vigansky. I live at 103 North Detroit, Buchanan, Michigan. I've been there 12 years, and I have been your commissioner for 4 years. I'm the only one up here with that much experience. I'm the only one in City Hall with that much experience. After November the 3rd, you're going to have 2 years without my help at City Hall. New city manager, new city treasurer, new city bookkeeper, probably new DPW. There's not going to be any guidance. I will be that guidance. I do have that experience. I'm not scared of anyone. I don't mind speaking out. I don't mind speaking up. You have a vast array of people up here that want to volunteer. They're qualified, all in their own way. But it takes 2 years minimum to get a grip on what's going on in City Hall. And with the 3 city managers or the 3 city commissioners that we have now, they've had absolutely no guidance, none, for the last 2 years. So they're basically green and new themselves. You're going to have the experience. I want to go forward with the new administration. I want to take Buchanan into the 21st century, and I believe I'm well equipped to do so. Thank you.
And now Jeccika Yoder.
Hi, I am Jeccika Yoder. Most people know me by my maiden name. It's Shepherd. I grew up here in Buchanan. I lived here my whole life. I work on the dog park and the duck pond. No, I do not have the experience that Mr. Vigansky speaks of, but I'd love to learn. Buchanan is this slice of paradise that not a lot of people get to notice. Not a lot of people get to live here, and I want to see it continue to grow and continue to be that wonderful place where we've all grown up. I have done a lot of really good stuff on really small scales, and I'd love to see what I can do with a little bit more of a reach. And thank you guys for watching. Hi, Mom. And thank you for having us here, guys. That's all I got.
Thank you. This brings us to the question period. I will ask a question, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond with an answer. I will rotate the questions among the candidates, and we will begin with Ms. Lemay. Here's the first question. It is said that our democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If you are elected, what would you do to assure that those principles are followed in Buchanan?
I have to say that I believe in that as well. Transparency is number one key. Communication is key. And I believe that when this time happens, our community needs to get more involved, but We expect them to do that involvement. It is up to us to make sure that we deliver that information to them. I will make sure that we have our Channel 17, that we have more on that Channel 17. Right now, you can do a scrolling, and it's just so boring. I think that we have all come to a much better place where we can do social media for our seniors. They're not used to getting on the computer, so we want them to definitely have that opportunity. Transparency and communication is what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Money?
Just like Monroe said, I believe that transparency within our city government is a must. Also accountability and communications. Without accountability, we just aren't going to be able to function and go the way we need to go. Communications, there's a lot of miscommunications I feel and that I've heard within our city government, and I just believe that this is one of the important factors that we need to look at in today's government, and also within our world situation. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
So I think as elected officials, we have a responsibility to represent what this city wants at the end of the day. And they trust us to make those positive decisions on how it's going to impact not only themselves, but their kin, others within the community. You know, we'll sound like a little bit of a broken record here on transparency, and that's an important piece. I think the commissioners that are in place today want that. I think they want to get to that point. They've made a lot of progress in terms of who they're trying to bring in and what they're trying to do with the community. There's still opportunity for improvement for all of us. That's never going to change, and if you don't think that, you're going to be stuck in a stale position for a long time. And I don't think that's what the current group wants. And I feel very positive about working with these individuals, and I think they have the mindset to get there, and everyone's making this, or serving at the end of the day, and it's to serve our residents. Thank you.
And Mr. Vigansky?
At the end of the day, the taxpayers, you people out there, are the ones that have to hold the 5 at City Hall accountable. Americans have gotten lazy, and there's no other way of putting it, and I'm sorry if I sound harsh, but 5 people cannot make decisions for 4,500, whether they're elected or not. They're elected by about 25%. They're dictated to by 3%, and they still make decisions on their own. We had a massive decision with our DDA that was made by 3 people, even though there was probably an outcry of 100 or more that said no, and 3 people still made that decision. So unless you make your voice heard, electing me isn't going to make your voice heard. Coming to City Hall, participating, volunteering is going to make your voice heard. Thank you.
And Ms. Yoder?
I am going to beat the dead horse that is transparency. I think that if you asked many people in Buchanan, they would not be able to tell you the name of one person on city commission. They would not be able to tell you the name of one person making their choices for them. I think that we do need more transparency, whether that be through the age of social media or just having more availability to see, where's our money going? What kind of work are these groups doing? I think that we're moving into a new generation, and I think that we need to move with it. And I do believe we should be a lot more transparent with what we have, even though we've all beat that to death. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next question goes to Mr. Money. What is the most pressing economic development need for downtown Buchanan, and how would you address that need?
Well, I think with the demise of the DDA, we need to look at a couple different things that need to be handled within the downtown area. Probably one of those is a multi-complex that I feel that the city government, the police and fire department should be in. This is something that that they've talked about, and just not much has been done with it as of yet. I would like to see something like that come to fruition. Also, there's a lot of streetscapes and things that we can be doing downtown to enhance the city, and I think those are important factors. Thank you.
Ms. Lemay?
Yes, I would have to say I would agree with everything that he just said, but I also feel that one of our biggest problems with our downtown is our unification of the people that are there, our businesses. We have an influx in the last 10 years of Chicago merchants. We have failed to listen to the way that they do business. They have failed to listen to what our locals really want. And I think that before we can thrive as a community, we really need to bring those two together and discuss, basically bring us all together. We have to stop looking at Buchanan as them and us, and we have to start looking at anybody who comes into Buchanan with their children to basically say, we are Buchanan too. We have to unify this town before we do anything. Thank you.
Ms. Yoder?
I would definitely agree with my two fellow panelists up here. I think Buchanan's a beautiful place. I think that we have a few too many buildings sitting empty that could be great things. I love our parks. I think that we need to put even more into developing them. Our parks are beautiful and our children love playing there. I think that we have a great foundation here. It's a beautiful place if we just maintain it. There are a couple roads that could use some work downtown especially, but I love the facades of the building outside, like down on Front Street. They are beautiful. They just scream old time. I think we just need to invest in upkeep and keeping them as beautiful as they've always been. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
Well, pretty much the final nail in the coffin was moving the police department out of the Ross Sanders building, but you can't look at water under the bridge. But we're constantly looking at water under the bridge because that's what goes on in the city of Buchanan. We have to go forward. We do have marijuana dispensaries, and that is a screaming point, but we have the foot traffic now. We might actually have the money from out of town to reinvest in our buildings that have been neglected for 35 years. And I mean, I'm from Buchanan. Clark Equipment was all about it, but we really haven't done anything seriously since Clark Equipment left. The dispensaries are a great thing for the city. Wrap your arms around it, help City Hall decide how to fix it with the parking and the traffic, and let's move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
I don't believe it's the city's position to fund commerce. I think it's the opportunity to create placemaking spaces within the community that drive individuals into this town. Let the business owners run their business and do what they need to do to drive business to their stores. We can bring opportunities for citizens to come to this town, stay in this town. When it comes to specifically downtown, there's grant programs, funding out there that is not taxpayer-based from the city that we can gain access to help create those placemaking environments. Infrastructure at the end of the day has got to be a top priority. I know there's some projects on the docket at the moment to do some improvements to downtown and our sewer projects and so forth, but at the end of the day, you know, it's not our responsibility to fund commerce, it's to create the opportunity for them to grow their business themselves.
Thank you. The next question is this. The COVID pandemic has taken a toll on businesses, including Buchanan. Do you have a proposal to help local businesses emerge successfully from the challenge? And if so, what is it? Mr. Swem.
That's a tough one, right? So, a little background on me before I get too deep in this. I work with businesses all across the state, and COVID impact has been a major piece in helping them sustain their business and get through this challenging time. At the end of the day, these businesses don't need a bailout. They don't want that. They've been given those opportunities through their local financial institutions, from our government programs. So I don't necessarily believe there's a way for us to throw taxpayer dollars at making something out of nothing for them, I guess, at the end of the day. There's plenty of opportunities, and we have a responsibility to make sure they're aware of those, and that's where I see our impact being. It's not another check from taxpayers at the end of the day. So there's lots of opportunity out there. Reach out to your local financial institution if you need those resources.
Ms. Yoder?
COVID is such a hard thing. I really don't know where we go from here. It's such a weird post-apocalyptic thing, seeing us all wearing masks while we're talking to you. I wish I had an answer. I agree with Patrick. There's been resources. This is such uncharted territory. I don't think any of us has a good answer on where we go from here. I sound so wiffle waffle up here, but I wish I had. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. That's my official stance. I don't know. Thank you.
Ms. Lemay?
Yes, I would agree with Patrick that we do have to have some education in this community regarding where to go, where to find those sources. I know that Adam from the Senior Center, being that I'm the president of the board, he has really helped us out with going out there, finding where to get the money, finding where the funds are, and he's responded by that so that we could help our seniors and have programs that could help them out. We're spending more money because of it, but we are also getting help from the government in different places. So my recommendation is that we have schooling for our community businesses. The chamber can help out with that. They can help us have perk breakfasts that tell us where we can go get these things, and they can even give, I think that this is where the city can help, is they can have some of their resources help fill out all of these applications, because there's a lot of applications. But we can do this together as a group. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
My friends continued to work from the very beginning in this. They drove truck. We all went to the grocery stores at the very beginning of this pandemic when we knew absolutely nothing about it. There was no masks, there was no protections, there was nothing. I don't want my children or my grandchildren to hibernate, to think that they're going to save me one day of life. I want to go back to work and get on with life. Stop cowering in your homes. If you're scared, stay home. We've never been we've never been this capable of hibernating in the history of mankind. If you are scared of this, and it's a bad disease, hibernate, but don't mandate me. Don't tell me to wear a mask. Stay home. Thank you.
And Mr. Money?
Well, I have to agree with Monroe on this. I think a lot of it is we have opportunities, the business owners have opportunities to be able to offset their costs. But it's also the responsibility of the citizenry of Buchanan to also help economically to ensure that Buchanan does thrive. I mean, there are the marijuana industry, downtown is flourishing like we couldn't even imagine it would. The other businesses, in my opinion, need to step up and make themselves more available to the citizenry of Buchanan. There's a lot of great things going on in Buchanan, and there's just an opportunity for us to be able to earn a living and be here in town. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. The next question is this. Which marketing initiatives or programs would you support to boost Buchanan's tourism and economy? Ms. Yoder.
Well, as a millennial, it's not a bad word, I promise. Social media it's important, and our town is gorgeous. We could take pictures, and people will come just based on how it looks. It's a beautiful place to be. Go to our duck pond. The committee does a great job taking care of it. not that I'm tooting my own horn. We have a great dog park. We have great parks. We have a beautiful area to live. We are Instagram worthy. We are. So if you take the pictures, they will come. I believe social media is the way to go. If we promote it more into cyberspace, we will gain the tourism that we're looking for. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Swem?
I think the most important asset we have in this community to brag about is our school system. We have a top-notch school system within this county. It's what keeps residents in this community. So not necessarily tourism-driven, but if I wanted to showcase anything, it's the great work that our teachers do. Those are what keep people paying taxes and buying homes. As we've seen this year alone, houses are selling at record numbers that we've never seen in this community before. What does that mean? It means increased tax dollars, increased revenue for this community. We need to take care of that infrastructure. It's extremely important. Showcase that will allow us to create better things in this community, more opportunity for businesses and tourism. If there's anything else I'd showcase, it's Michigan's great Southwest wine country. So, thank you.
And Mr. Money?
Patrick hit on a good point, our school system. But also, Buchanan has a lot to offer as far as tourism goes. I'm fortunate enough to be working with a program that was put into place right before Memorial Day here in Buchanan, and that was the banners for the veterans. And that drew so much attention that it was an overwhelming task. And we are, right now, trying to figure out how we're going to do this again next year. We have been in touch with Reader's Digest. As a matter of fact, Reader's Digest is supposed to be coming into town again this weekend. But we also have our Commons area where there's been a lot of programs going on down there. The Piers Mill draws a lot of attention. So as Ms. Yoder stated, social media is what's building a lot of the tourism. Thank you.
And Mr. Vigansky?
I don't know, I've owned 2 homes in this town, 20 years apart. Being from the general area, graduating from Galene, it's the quaintness, and you always hear that. The thing that you hate about it the most is the fact that, Barney Fife is right down the street, and that's what you love about it the most. That's what makes it unique. The tourism is great, but they do leave in September, so you want a consistent base, and it's very difficult. We have some fantastic parks. We own 17 acres on the river. We have 3 ballparks. One of them is currently a dog park. We have what we call the duck pond. Some people kind of quiver at that call, that name, City Park or something, but that's a beautiful park. It's just the marijuana is going to bring the foot traffic in. Our scarecrows are great. So there's a multitude of things. Thank you.
And Ms. Lemay?
Everyone hit here on something really quite important because we all love Buchanan, which is why we're all running for this. I think working at the Senior Center for six years, one of the things that I know that is the most attractive about Buchanan are the people, their story. Everyone in a family has a story. Every family has a story. The same thing goes for Buchanan. We have an incredible history. We have an incredible story. We have a Black community with an incredible history. They all came here in 1942 during World War II, and we never tell that story. So I think if we did something with social media, if we started to talk about our history and the people that we know, your grandfather, we would really find a way to get people to come here. Our story is what is going to bring people. And I think it's what brought people here currently. People are coming here for the story and for the people. Thank you.
All right. The next question is this. Do you favor additional residential development in downtown Buchanan? Why or why not? Ms. Lemay?
Absolutely, yes. I feel that Buchanan is a wonderful town. However, it's not big enough to build places where, it's not enough for industry. It doesn't have enough room. What we have now is all we have. So I think that because we have such good schools, because we have such an incredible town, and we have an art center, we have so much going for us, that building places for people to come and stay here. Our school is an incredible school, and everybody that goes to work in Niles wants to live in Buchanan. So I say, if that's what it takes, bring them here. They can go work somewhere else, but bring them to Buchanan. We need more students. We just need more people. And I think this is the way to do it, is to make sure that they have a place to live. Thank you.
Mr. Money?
That's a question, it's kind of a double-edged sword to me. Yes, we probably do need more housing and development within the city. As far as manufacturing goes, we have a lot of small manufacturing that's going on in the city right now, and it's a great opportunity for small businesses to move in and to take advantage of it. But as far as the housing itself, it's great to have people coming in and taking advantage of our school system because it's school of choice and everything. But as far as additional, I just can't wrap my arms around that. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
So I would support a market rent style facility to bring in additional bodies in the community, residents. I think it's short-sighted to keep it focused on downtown. I think there's ample locations in this community to make investment, whether residential or commercial. I think there's a responsibility by the city to make sure blight property is removed in order to create opportunity for that investment. Infrastructure costs of getting rid of blight property is a hindrance to investors, and there's programs out there that they have easy access to, and we have a responsibility to make them aware of that, to create that investment and create that opportunity zone, to say the least. So at the end of the day, I think there's plenty of opportunity and space in this community to grow residential housing, but my position on that would be a market rent facility.
Yeah, Mr. Vigansky?
I guess my short answer would have to be no, based on everything that you've heard before. The residential tax base doesn't really pay for itself in the way that people think. I mean, it's all fine and good to say what you want, but the bottom line is it has to be paid for. And we're walking a very fine line in the city of Buchanan now, and we're working our way up and out. So, I mean, if you want to stay a small community, you basically have to stay a small community. And then you expand from within, but once you start growing, you've expanded past the small community. Thank you.
And Ms. Yoder?
We always want more people here. People love Buchanan. We know why you want to be here. We want to be here. There are places that are sitting empty, like the old Stark Elementary School. I went there. It's been sitting empty for how long? Like 15 years? And I mean, that's places where we could put new residents. That's already a residential area. There's the Carbon Building. There's so many places where it needs our attention, and we could do so much to boost us up. We know why people want to come here. We love it here. And yeah, I definitely think that we should make the improvements to bring more people here. We need the students, we need the people, and come join us. We're great.
All right, that pretty much leads us to the next question, which is, what would you like to see happen with vacant city property? Mr. Money?
Well, there are a lot of vacant properties within the city of Buchanan. I hit on a couple different things, police complex and stuff like that. We have a lot of buildings and area that the city owns that we could take advantage of. And in my opinion is I think we We need to take advantage of these areas. There are a lot of things within the community that need, to be refurbished and to be able to be looked at. But yeah, I think we have the available properties to be able to do more here in town. Thank you.
And Ms. Lemay?
Unfortunately, I don't think 1 minute will do for me because I have all these wonderful ideas of what to do with these vacant places. With the school, for instance, I have always wanted a music and dance academy. I think that would go really, really well with our school system, also with the art center. I can think of a wonderful thing to do with the EV. So there are so many things that I think that we're just not looking at. One thing I will say that when our new city manager, Heather Grace, when she had an interview with us, the last thing she asked was, if you had no money restrictions, what would you want for your city? And man, did I have ideas. So it's sometimes nice to be able to just dream, come up with ideas, and I guarantee you we will find the money to put it together. That's just how you get it done. Thank you.
Ms. Yoder?
With the vacant buildings, there's so many ways that we could create jobs right here in Buchanan, and not another brewery, not another dispensary. While they're great for our economy and our community, we kind of beat that horse to death. But I mean, we could do so much. We could turn Stark into a floor hockey arena. People love floor hockey in Buchanan. We could turn it into, an animal holding facility where if we find a stray dog on the street, it could be safe, instead of having to take it all the way up to Eau Claire to animal control. There's so many things that we can do, and just watching these beautiful old buildings dilapidate and be reclaimed by nature is not one of them. I'm not sure what we need to put into it. I think that that's something that we really need to hear the city's voice on. We need to hear what they want, because that's our job, is to give them what they need. But it needs to be something. People need to start making moves. They can't just sit there and crumble back into the dirt. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
Well, we haven't had any sort of enforcement in zoning. I don't even know, even as a commissioner, I'm not really sure how much enforcing we can do, even though I spent 4 years down there. Public-owned properties, you go through an auction process. There's a way you can't put anything on a deed to dictate to people what they do with the property, and a lot of times people buy property really cheap. They sit on it and they try to sell it for extortionate prices. You can do a lease option where you lease the property out. If they don't do any development in a 12-month period, you take the property, you keep their money. Win-win for the city. As far as privately owned property, Stark School's owned by the school system. The school system hasn't chose to do anything because they use it for storage. And they're kind of, maybe they should keep it, maybe they shouldn't. So, I mean, you have to deal with all the private ownership, and it's a very aggressive. Real estate agents, they have to make enough money to put it up for sale. Thank you.
And Mr. Swem?
I think there's a lot of great ideas at this table on what we do with vacant land in this community, but at the end of the day, we don't have a blank checkbook that can fund all this. So we need to invite traditional commerce into the community that will create additional tax revenue for the citizens to come and complete these great ideas that we're hearing about. There's great programs through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, I think that's MEDC, that we can help learn more about, get out there, let that know that we want development here. Here's what our plan is as a city. We'd have to work closely with the Planning Commission, of course, and align on those ideas. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think everything needs to be a city building, because you're not going to get the tax revenue at the end of the day that you need to fund all these really cool ideas. So lots of opportunity, but we need true tax-paying citizens to be on those sites. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, should Buchanan impose a 2% city sales tax on marijuana sales? Why or why not? Mr. Swem?
So I'd be curious on what the business owners that made the investment in this community have to say about this tax. first and foremost, if they don't have a seat at the table, then we don't have a place discussing this. They deserve an opportunity to have a say in where that funding goes. They made the investment in this community. They want to see it thrive. They want that money to go towards things that are going to increase commerce. So yes, I do believe there is a quality of life tax that is needed in some capacity, but that conversation starts with those business owners at the end of the day. They made the investment. They deserve to have a seat at the table on how that funding is distributed.
Ms. Yoder?
I 100% agree with Patrick. It really is just, where we need to have the conversation with the business owners. They need to have their opinion heard. I do believe that Buchanan should have something from this. No matter where your stance is, we took a risk by allowing dispensaries to be in our town. However you view that, we did. And I think that we need to benefit from it. And how that goes, I think all just depends on where the talks go with the business owners. I am in 100% agreement with Patrick on this. Thank you.
Ms. Lemay?
I would have to agree with Patrick as well, and with Ms. Yoder. I think we have to be very careful not to be too greedy. I will tell you that already many of these dispensaries are putting money back into the community by sponsoring certain things in our community. I know that the senior center has already had some programs sponsored by them. I think that we were greedy to even allow 6 dispensaries in this town because we wanted money. And okay, so let's get that money from the state, but let's not make the mistake that we made with Clark and start taxing too much. Give them a break, and yes, they need to be sitting at that table because they are the ones that put the money into this community. And I think they've been very generous up till now. So we need to be really, really careful on this. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
We charge them $5,000 a year for a city permit for each license that they have right from the get-go. We charged that 2 years ago, 2 years before any of them could even open for business. The state changed their rules and increased their fees to $40,000 a year. No questions asked. This is before any sales tax, any money put into the buildings, and all of these buildings, were dilapidated. They probably overpaid for the buildings, and then they had to put $200,000 into a building that was ready to fall down. And then we come out and we want to say, well, this is great. We want to charge you another 2%. I just got back from a trip, and nothing bugs me worse than to pay a local tax on a hotel because I stayed in a hotel. I don't know if it's illegal since I paid taxes in the hotel, but the fact that the question was even brought up tells you we're money grubbing. Thank you.
Mr. Money?
Well, like we've all basically agreed on here, the business owners are the ones that got the skin in the game. And they're helping basically the city of Buchanan out. Unlike anything else, we've seen a lot of the industry leave Buchanan. We've seen Clark Equipment go. We've seen Electrovoice go. We've seen Buchanan Steel go. And to turn around and start upping the taxes on these folks, we have the chance of losing a lot of revenue. And that's one of the things that we can't afford to do in the downtown area, like Dan made mention. They've bought up a lot of buildings, and they're refurbishing these buildings, and they're doing a great job, and they're bringing traffic in and out of town to be able to enjoy quite possibly some of the stuff. A lot of them don't stay, but, that's the way it is. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next question is, how would you help to unify Buchanan when factions are at odds?
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear.
I'm sorry.
Mask on.
How would you help to unify Buchanan when factions are at odds? And that goes to Ms. Yoder.
knew it.
Sorry.
I love Buchanan just way too much, and I know that I come from a different time period. I know that I'm a very nice person, so I find it difficult to understand how anybody can not be unified. However, I do know that it is a problem. I don't know that there's an answer. It's terrible, and it's a horrible time right now to see everything that's going on. I wish that there was a better answer. I think we all just need to be better people. We need to be more accepting of outsiders, you know, whether they come from Chicago, like Lemay said, or, you know, just anybody. We just need to really welcome people. We're all humans at the end of the day, and we just need to be better human beings.
Mr. Swem?
Yeah, tough question, right? What's city government's role in unifying the community? You know, it's tough to not see what's going on in the world around us today. You know, what I have seen within this community is open dialogue and welcoming when people had or wanted the opportunity to express, whether that's, you know, having open conversation with the police department. I think we have got great leadership under Tim Gaines and our officers there, and you know, that's a tough question. Unfortunately, I don't have a end-all be-all. I think keeping that open conversation, listening when there is a problem that's expressed, we need to take it seriously at the end of the day. You know, we've got great groups in this community. I know Monroe is a big piece of One Buchanan. I think we're very welcoming in that. Other than that, I don't have a silver bullet that'll get the answer done for you. You know, there's opportunity just by listening to become better people.
Mr. Money?
Well, I'm going to take this question back to probably about where we started. Transparency, accountability, communications. Those are the things that we need to work on in order to, you know, enhance and work with the citizenry and or the local governments within the city of Buchanan. So those are three things that we all agree on. And those are three things that I think need to be done, like I said, to enhance the city of Buchanan. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
Leadership, that's basically it. If you don't have leadership, you have chaos. If you have strong leadership, you can walk into any group of people, no matter how big a problem you have, no matter how noisy they are, and you take control of the room. If you're not capable of taking care of the room or taking control of the room, you have no business calling yourself a leader. We have multiple islands in the little city of Buchanan, and they all got their own little sandboxes. They all got their toys, and nobody wants to share. And we haven't had a leader in the city of Buchanan for 30 years plus. The DDA was a prime example of that. There was no reason to disband it. We needed leadership. We didn't have it. We didn't get it. We disbanded it. So short answer is leadership.
Thank you. And Ms. Lemay?
This is a great question, and all four of you, I think, have touched some really good points. I will go back to what Patrick said about One Buchanan. I don't think One Buchanan should be a lone entity. I think that the city should actually take that on as one of their units, because if it does become part of the city, it will be able to do more work. It will be more feasible. And I really do think that we, between the school and between our city government, we can unify a lot in this community. We do a lot of listening. Our teachers, as you mentioned before, are fantastic people to listen to. They listen to children on a daily basis. I think that our seniors are very good at listening and compromising, and that's basically what we need is that to find a group of people that will take care of that, and I think that One Buchanan could do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is this. In your view, what is the most important issue facing Buchanan's commissioners today, and how would you address that issue? Ms. Lemay.
Wow, that's a tough one. That's a big one. I would have to say COVID is the one that is probably the biggest issue today, simply because we don't know how to handle it. It's the first time thing. We're not quite clear as to how to, as a commission, as a city, as citizens, we don't even know how to handle our own families in a situation like this. Therefore, it's probably, and it's going to be here for a while. It's not going anywhere. So I think that is probably the most challenging for us right now. How do we continue to move forward in this community? How do we continue to move forward financially with COVID being in the way? And that's going to require a lot of people putting their heads together and working together, not working against each other. Keep it positive. That's all I can say. It's a tough situation. Thank you.
Mr. Money?
That is a rather hard question to answer. I'm going to have to go right back to communication. I think communication between the city government, city entities, the different programs that we have is going to be one of the focal points of what needs to be done in the city of Buchanan. I mean, if we can't communicate with each other, if we can't work together, if we can't help one another, then this whole process is, is just not gonna be able to work quite right. And like Dan said before, the leadership aspect of it is also important. So communication is between the city government is where I'm at. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
I think the first priority would be identifying, city center downtown has a brand new face on it. Dan mentioned earlier, everybody's different for the most part, other than our three commissioners that are fairly green, as we all recognize. So setting proper expectations, goals, and getting a plan on what the next phase of Buchanan looks like has to be the top priority, so we can gain alignment on how we achieve those goals. The second thing that's looming over all of our heads is a $25 million deficit that the school's facing on infrastructure improvements. And who are they going to ask to help cover that? It's going to be the taxpayers. We need to start getting a plan on how to address that. As I mentioned earlier, it's the most important piece of this community in my opinion. We need to make sure that we don't turn a blind eye to it. We've got new leadership there. We need to embrace it, and we need to work together.
Mr. Vigansky?
Fiscal responsibility. I mean, we sit around and we talk about all these things we want. It's kind of like Christmas time when you got no money. Mom and dad wants to get you a Christmas gift, but there's just no money there. And you really, really got to do some soul searching as to what you spend every dime on. Every dime has got to be accounted for. In our school systems, in our city government, there is no accountability. And it doesn't bother me to say that out loud publicly. There has been no accountability. Our school systems, I can't say for sure. $25 million, I'd heard that once before. That's scary when we already pay extremely high taxes in Buchanan. Thank you.
And Ms. Yoder?
I think it all goes back to the transparency. Our commission, our city government, they're making decisions. Whether or not they share their rationale behind that, obviously they're not. I know a lot of people believe that they're making decisions for no reason. There's a reason. There's a reason that came up for a vote. There's a reason that it was voted the way it was. And, at the end of the day, I think that Buchanan has a weird view on government. They keep it so hush-hush, and there's no reason for it. We're paying the taxes, we're the constituents. We need to know why they're making these decisions and who it is that's making them. I know we all spoke about transparency earlier in the forum, but I believe it's such a huge issue that most of Buchanan does not know the 5 people representing them. They really don't. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is this. How can commissioners work together with residents and merchants to achieve the goals you've talked about? What role should commissioners play in that process with residents and merchants? Mr. Money.
Well, I think the commissioners need to have an open ear. They need to be out there. They need to listen to what the citizenry has to offer, what their problems may or may not be. And it's the same way with the downtown merchants or any business, you know, within the city. I know there's a machine shop right downtown Buchanan that there was a lot of upheaval about. But this is a great place to work. It's a great environment. So I'm thinking, you know, as a commissioner, we need to look at these places. We need to understand what's going on. We need to understand the citizenry in Buchanan and also the small business owners and the merchants. Thanking you.
Ms. Lemay?
I think better education, better training. People seem to think, I guarantee you that half of our city commissioners don't even know what their mission statement is. But I do feel that when you take on a job like this, that we're just citizens, just like anybody else. We make mistakes. We don't know it all. So we need to be trained. We need to have training so that we can then take that information and bring it to the public. Meet with them on weekends. Be open at a McDonald's, coffee shop, at the cafe downtown. Sit down and talk to our citizens. Give them time to come and approach you. I think that would be where we need to really concentrate on letting them come and talk to us, listen to them. But we need training. Every single one of us needs training. And not just once. We need yearly training. Thank you.
And Ms. Yoder?
It really goes back to an engagement issue. We can have open ears all we want, but if people don't complain or they don't speak in the right forum, we're not going to hear it. City hall meetings are open. City commission meetings are open, usually. You know, personally, just from my work with the dog park, you know, we had all the meetings open. There were 4 people running it, and we never saw another person come to a meeting, never once. And we ran a Facebook page for it, and every day, complaint, but never in the right setting. So I think it comes down to the engagement. We don't know where these problems are coming from. Complaining to your cousin about how much you hate something isn't going to make it change. Voice your opinion. We'll be here to listen, but you need to tell us. Thanks.
Mr. Vigansky?
Well, as a commissioner, you're an ambassador for the city. People are intimidated by City Hall. They're intimidated by the whole forum. They're not public speakers, so they're not going to come to you. And then they got 3 minutes to state their case, and I always thought it was extremely rude because they're never addressed back. I mean, when they say something, as a commission, I would try to address the person that come one way or another. And I mean, there's rules and there's regulations and there's reasons for not doing that. You don't do that because you don't want confrontation. But on the other hand, a commissioner needs to acknowledge that they heard him. But if you get out of City Hall, you know, and having coffees and all that, that's good. But actually going into their business, walking in, saying, "Hi, I'm Dan. I'm one of your city commissioners." We're all ambassadors. So, thank you.
All right, Mr. Swem?
I think it's important to create the opportunity for those voices to be heard. And it's not just at City Hall, at commission meetings. I think there's other ways we can reach out to the community, whether it's, you know, a short list of surveys. We send a physical bill to most of these people every month for their water payment. You know, there's opportunity there to get engagement. Outside of that, you know, I think it's important for the city commissioners to be heard and seen. I work with many of the local businesses in town personally, so I have a personal relationship with many of them. But at the end of the day, we need to be encouraging our city manager to have that level of engagement with the community so that the citizens are comfortable having those conversations, because it's that individual's job to provide us recommendations on what we should be doing. You know, it's great that we hear it, and we should respond to it, like Dan said, in the proper format. But we need to be encouraging the individual we pay a significant amount of money to have an engaged conversation with the residents of this community. So that's my position.
All right, thank you. The next question is about marijuana sales in Buchanan. Where do you think medical and adult use marijuana sales be permitted? Mr. Swem.
I was wondering if it was me or not. Where they're permitted from a zoning perspective, I'm assuming is this where we're going with this? I think we've made that decision already as a community, right? These businesses are there. They're invested. At this point, it's kind of how do we embrace it and improve the decision that we already made with uptown and downtown. So, you know, I think it's kind of a little too late to the dance, I guess, to answer that question. We've already, you know, set our heels in on where they're at, where they're going to be. I would be adamantly opposed to telling them, you just made this huge investment, time for you to get out, because we changed our mind. That's not realistic. It's going to scare business away. So at the end of the day, we need to embrace what we've already made a decision on and find a way to work with them.
All right, Ms. Yoder.
Again, I find myself 100% agreeing with Patrick here. The only thing I could add to it is zone buildings with better parking, because we all know Front Street. So, I mean, we need to be smarter moving forward. We made our bed, we need to lie in it and make it work going here. But if we add any more, we need to really learn from the mistakes that we made. They probably should not be on a street with street side parking. They need to have their own parking lot. And I mean, as long as they stay the right mandated, you know, distance from schools, and I think we just need to lie in the bed that we made and learn moving forward.
Ms. Lemay.
This one's tough for me. But like Patrick said, we've already done it, so there's not much we can do except for make it better. I would like to see a lot more education to the public about not just medical marijuana, but especially for recreational marijuana. I think that we are a town that has always had DARE in the forefront, and all of a sudden now we're stating as a community that it's okay to have recreational marijuana in 6 different places in town. So I just want to see more. I want to see our kids be safe. I want to see our citizens be safe. So communicate and educate them as to what the side effects are to this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky.
I was very instrumental in making the decision. I was extremely instrumental in making it downtown. We wanted the foot traffic. We need the foot traffic. COVID threw us a screw. There's no way of putting it any other way. The curbside delivery. And I've heard the parking situation. I've gone down and looked at the parking situation. We all want to be healthy, drink light, exercise, but we can't walk a half a block to get a cup of coffee. There's plenty of parking downtown. People just choose to not walk. So the parking issue needs to be worked out amongst the business owners downtown. There's plenty of parking down there. Business owners that have offices need to park farther enough away so that the businesses that people run in and out of, but that's going to have to be a cooperation amongst the businesses unless you want us to start charging people for parking in the wrong spots. Thank you.
And Mr. Money.
Well, I think we're all in agreement in the position that the marijuana in downtown Buchanan is here to stay for a while. There is, that part of it, like Patrick said, we're seated in with these businesses. And I got to agree with what Dan said. We wouldn't be having probably some of the problems that we have downtown if it weren't for the pandemic situation. People standing out on the streets doing things outside their facility. It does look like 1966 on Wells Street in Chicago, where you could buy right off the street. But, that's soon to be rectified, I hope, with the pandemic situation and the COVID. So hopefully these businesses will be able to get started back and do a normal business within their business. Thank you.
All right, the next question is, how would you work toward more transparency in government? Ms. Yoder?
We are in the age of information super availability. We don't have a lot of presence on social media as a city. Some people like that, some people don't. I think that we should have more. We just need to be more open about the decisions that are being made. There are a lot of decisions made or votes cast that we have no idea what's going on. And whether that is intentional or not, I'm really not sure. But as we move forward, I think we need to be a lot more open about what goes on for City Commission in their meetings, the votes that they're casting, and the topics they're facing. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
I think it's difficult to speak on what's said behind closed doors, right, unless you're one of those individuals. So we have an opportunity as ethical individuals that are representing this community to make sure that information is shared in some capacity. I'm not going to sit here and berate the current commissioners as if they're hiding something, because I haven't been privileged to have those conversations. So what I can promise you is that if I'm elected, that I will be transparent about those conversations, and I'll encourage my peers to make the positive, ethical choice to be transparent as well with the community. If they won't say it, I will. At the end of the day, we just need to make sure there's not as much doubt as there is right now. So encourage that positive, ethical treatment. You can't really do a whole lot more than that other than inviting everything to be open forum, and sometimes the tough conversations need to be had behind closed doors to make that progress. Thank you.
Mr. Money?
Well, transparency is a big topic. We've had a lot of situations within the city government. And I think this new group does want to be transparent. We don't want things to be hidden. Growing up in this city, I've seen a lot of things that were done behind closed doors. And it's not fair to the citizenry. And actually now, with the age of communication, like Ms. Yoder stated, there is no reason for us to be not forthright and to hold anything back. Ethically, we owe it to the people of Buchanan to make sure they know what's going on. Now, there's going to be situations, but we owe it to the citizens of Buchanan to let them know what's going on within our city. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
I was going to pontificate, but I won't. Everybody owns a phone, but nobody knows how to use it. It's way worse than it was 35 years ago before the cell phone comes out. Everybody has a phone. Nobody answers it, or they expect you to answer it, and nobody pays any attention to it. If you don't listen to what's going on, or if you don't pay attention to what's going on, the city hall does follow the letter of the law. They do that. I will give them that. The letter of the law is very minimal. So if you want to participate, if you want to know what's going on, it's not up to your government to hold your hand and spoon feed you. You have to participate. And as far as transparency, I haven't used that word. And I laughed when it was used because it just makes me laugh. You can't be transparent to a degree. You can't be forthcoming to a degree. And it's just like advertising. You can spend $1 billion and there's still going to be 100,000 people out there that didn't get your message. So, thank you.
And Ms. Lemay?
Yeah, I think that information is power. I've sat on enough boards, I've been president of several boards, and when you attach a document that explains what it is that we're about to vote on, it really does help. We get the documents, we get to see them. I see no reason, and I think that Randy would agree with me, today you can have a presentation in the room where you can show those documents to the public as they're voting on them so that the public is informed. That's transparency. Making decisions behind closed doors and then bringing it to the meeting and then making a decision is what we've always been used to. It's what's been fed to us, but it's not right. It gives us no time to really think, to really ask questions. And I think sometimes if you table things, it does, especially if you notice that a lot of our citizens are having problems understanding, table it, bring it to the next meeting, and then let them know what's really happening. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question talks about the need for the coordination, a better coordination of local transportation systems. We hear about Buchanan Dial-A-Ride and Niles Dart and the Berrien bus, and people have trouble coordinating the use of those and wish that they were better coordinated, and they didn't duplicate, and they didn't not come at all. Could you talk about that, Ms. Lemay?
Yes, actually I sat on the Dial-A-Ride board for several years. I think that now that Dial-A-Ride is no longer owned by the same transportation program, but it's owned by the county now, is where the confusion is coming in. We used to have our local people sit on an advisory board, and they would get that information out. We would have trainings, we would have all that. But now that it's in the county, we're kind of a little, I think in the transference of it moving from one company to another, I'm so sorry, one company to another, it seems to have lost that kind of information that we really need. I think we need to do better about that. I think that the city needs to work with the county transportation to really let our citizens, especially our seniors, because I think that's where that question is coming from, so that they understand how they can move from one town to the other with these Dial-A-Rides, with these transportations. Maybe if we did, as a city, continue to have, sorry, thank you.
Mr. Money?
Well, I'm not totally familiar with the Dial-A-Ride system, so I can't really speak about it with much education at it. But the people that I've talked to locally that live in the Matea courts and the other areas rely a lot upon this kind of transportation, and I've not seen a lot of problems. I guess there have been a few from people I've talked to downtown, getting the buses there or whatever. But as far as the actual situation goes, like I said, I'm not really versed on it as well as a lot of others. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
Much like Larry pointed out, I don't have a ton of history and understanding what the actual problem is in this scenario. So I understand the funding's been adjusted. I know that much. I think how I would assess this situation to learn more is find out, is there a central point where these individuals that are utilizing Dial-A-Ride are going as a generality, and determine, okay, what can we do with whatever this point is? My first place that comes to mind, is it a grocery store, that's a larger chain? That's the first thing I think of. And maybe we can work out something with that group to create a sense of schedule, something along those lines. So I really would need to understand the situation better to be able to give you a confident answer on how I would address it. But unfortunately, I just don't have an answer on that at this time.
All right,
Thank
Mr. Vigansky?
I knew the former director quite well, and I was pretty disappointed when the county took it over. It was, I don't know, not really privately held, but whenever the government takes it over, it screws it up. Let's just face that fact. They can't cross the state line to Beacon Hospital if you want to go to Beacon Hospital. They were working on that, but then they always get carried away with themselves. And since I haven't been on the commission for the last 2 years, I haven't had the opportunity to talk to her, but I was extremely disappointed. The county took over the road commission, the county took over dial-a-ride, the county wants to run everything, but then you don't, well, you get that wonderful transparency that we're all sitting up here talking about once the government takes over. As long as it's private, it is transparent. It's not transparent when the government takes it over.
And Ms. Yoder?
Along with Mr. Money and Mr. Swem, I would be remiss if I pretended to know more than I do. I don't. I've never used our public transportation. However, the most important thing to know is just because I've never experienced the problem doesn't mean it's not one. I think that we all agree that if this question's coming up, somebody in our community is having this problem, and it is important and it will be handled. I wish that we all had better answers, and we would be honestly just remiss if we pretended to know what we were talking about and we didn't. So I will be honest and say I have no idea how to fix the transit problem, but it will be handled.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the time we allotted for questions. And we'll now ask you all to give your 2-minute closing remarks, beginning with Ms. Yoder.
Did you forget who I was? I think you guys have got to learn a lot about us here. I know that when you think of city government, I am a different face to see, and that's okay. Different is good, different is fun, and we're moving into a different time period. And I just want to reiterate how much I love Buchanan, and I love the way that it is, and I want to continue growing it how it is. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and tell you I'm going to change everything in the world and make you a bunch of promises, because I don't want to. There's little things that need to be tweaked, but we all live here because we love it here. And honestly, yes, I am a lot younger than what you think of when you think of city government, but we will be inheriting this, whether we want it or not. Our generation is coming up as people take their much-deserved retirement, and I think that we need to have a say in the matters before it's just forced on us. I think we need to be a part of it before we just have to deal with it. Thank you.
Mr. Vigansky?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say something about the fact that there's 5 of us sitting here instead of 4. In the last election, there was 7 instead of 6. That rule was changed in May after the last deadline in 2018. I wasn't present because I was at a funeral in Knoxville. They said it was in the charter that no primary had ever been held in the city of Buchanan. Well, that was a blatant lie. Gladys Bybee had held a primary. There's 2 open seats for city commissioners right now. There should be 4 of us sitting up here, 2 for each empty seat. The rule was changed. I went clear to the state. Nobody could be bothered. They draw their paychecks, they go home. That being said, you have the first time I ran, I actually went out and bought signs. I bought 3 signs. There was 2 people. So, I mean, there was little to no chance of not getting elected. So I did get elected. I was happy. The next time, there was 7 people. So I was excited that I had stirred up enough interest in the politics to run for office of commission. I will tell you, I spent 15 to 20 hours a week at a volunteer position, but it's not truly volunteer. You get paid about $15 an hour, and now you get paid to sit on the committees. But it is a full-time job in a lot of ways. And when you think, I wasn't harassed, there wasn't a lot of phone calls, but either you're gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. If you hate it, get out of it. Let somebody else take your spot, because all you're doing is wasting everybody's time. Thank you.
Mr. Swem?
Neighbors, thank you for taking the time to listen to all the candidates today. I hope you'll make a strong choice in who you elect to serve this community for the next 4 years. Many of you I know personally over all my lifetime in this community, whether it was growing up playing athletics or working at Harding's for 4 years. I helped many of you, saw your faces on a regular basis there when I was in high school. Or whether it's in what I'm doing today, helping families find financial success and businesses now. So for my last 10 years in the financial sector, 5 of which have been in business lending and leadership roles at the credit union I work for, I hope you trust that I'm a good steward of your money, your relationship. I look forward to serving you. I hope you see the impact that my family has made in this community over 5 generations, and the respect that we expect to provide to you, and the values that we hold and I hold dearly to my heart. And I would be very disappointed to ever disappoint my grandfather. So many of you know him. You know what he stands for. He's been an integral piece in my life and how I make the decisions I make today. So hopefully you've had a positive experience there. But overall, thank you again for the time. I hope you look to me to be the next commissioner. Thank you.
Mr. Money?
Well, I just want to thank the people of Buchanan for allowing all of us the opportunity to be able to come and speak to you for our benefit, for you to be able to choose from among us. There are a lot of good people up here, and we all have ideas that we hope would work within the city. I'm probably the oldest one up here, so I've seen this city in its heyday. I've seen it fall into a little bit of despair, and I see it coming back now. And I want to be part of that growing process that we've had, or that we are having. And I thought that this was the best way to be able to do that. I've served this community in a lot of different capacities. I was a firefighter for 27 years here. My father was a firefighter. My son is a firefighter. We've worked with different organizations. I've worked with different boards within the city government, and I just hope that I can meet the expectations of the people of Buchanan. I appreciate everything that's being done, and thank you very much.
Ms. Lemay?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for the community. I know that you've learned a lot today because I know that I have. I'm coming away from this a completely different person. I think that every single one of us, no matter who you vote for, that person will serve you well with a lot of passion. We have a great group of people here. So the competition is even higher now, as I'm discovering. I love this community. I am not originally from here. I graduated in Buchanan. I've been around to New York. I lived in Israel on a communal farm. I have socialism in my background. I have a whole bunch of different experiences. But I think that no matter who you pick, and we all want this job very, very much. We all want to serve this community. We want to serve you. We want to listen to you. We want to help you. It's a good time to actually come on board. We have a new city manager. We have a lot of new city people. It's exciting. We have a new superintendent. This is a really happening town. So I want to thank everybody. And I want you to know that you cannot make a bad decision here. It's just a matter of what speaks to you best. So think about that. I hope I can help our seniors. I hope I can help our children. This is the passion that I have. But I will serve you no matter what. Whether I get on or not, I will continue to serve this community. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you all. At the League of Women Voters, we are always concerned about ways to increase voter turnout. We know that voters really do care. They proved that by turning out in record numbers 2 years ago in the 2018 midterm election. The turnout then was the highest for a midterm election since 1962, 80 years ago. That is good news for sure. Still, though, only half of the people in this area who could have voted didn't. So much work remains to be done for future elections. The good news, though, is that work on election turnout really makes a difference. Now, we all know that there is no reason for anyone to wait to vote now. You can go out and vote by no reason absentee ballot anytime from now until November 3rd. Don't miss this opportunity that has been made so easy and is so very important. There's all this information and much more just a mouse click away on the Berrien County Clerk's website and the Michigan Secretary of State's website. Vote now or vote very soon, please, way before November 3rd, and encourage all voters, not just in Buchanan, to vote. Now, it's time for all of us here and at home to offer you our applause for being here. Can we hear the people at home by any chance? No. Right, that's right. Anybody willing to run for office deserves the thanks of everyone. Special thanks, too, tonight to Mary Lister, publisher of the paper, to Adam Burke and the Buchanan Area Senior Center, as well as to Randy Henriksen of DPM Events for making this evening happen. And we thank all of you online for watching. Good evening.